That's right. Welcome in. Welcome back, folks, we finally know the details of what Notre Dame's playoff bracket looks like. I think there's a thing or two to like, and then there's a few things to complain about is the reaction to this edition of the Always Irish Show. As always, thanks for being here. You can find a program on YouTube. Do it, subscribe if you haven't yet. Appreciate it very much. Give the video a thumbs up. That helps me out as well. Notifications on there where you don't miss nothing. Twitter, search bar Always Irish or at Always Irish Inc. Emails alwaysirishandy@gmail.com. Audio only anywhere you want it. You can get it if you don't want to see my face. Nobody blames you for that. How do you think I feel? Call in lines. Keep them popping. 312-900-8815. Dialed up. Tell Uncle Johnny all you've heard and seen. Sure, there'll be a lot of reaction to this. Notre Dame Fighting Irish brought to you by Sports Illustrated. Read all about it. We have articles every day about all aspects of Notre Dame football. Patreon.com/Always Irish. We got the deal going as long as the playoff runs. Enter promo code NDCFP at the checkout half price. Content tiers as we ride through the playoff here. We want to have as many people to be able to join as possible. All right. Now we have it, folks. The brackets are out, and we learned some things. I'm doing this before they even announce what day. I still don't know what day we play or whatever, but the brackets are out. I got enough information after being gaslit and held hostage by ESPN. They finally showed us the brackets, okay? And we learned some things. Looks like the committee's not going to punish teams for losing in conference title games really at all. Notre Dame still behind Penn State, still behind Texas. So it looks like it's all upside and there's no downside there. So it makes me wonder if that tells you how they're going to handle Notre Dame in these teams that lose these conference title games. What does Notre Dame have to do to get a 5 then? If they go 12-0, are you going to be the 5 or are you still going to be below whatever happens in these conference championship games? This just has me wondering at 12-0, is Notre Dame a 5? Are they still going to say this is how we're handling Notre Dame and we're bumping them down below the at least the SEC and the Big Ten title game loser? I don't know. Because I got to tell you, there's no team in America that has one more with losses than Penn State. They have beat no one all year. And they have losses to the only good teams they play. And they just, everybody loves them for some reason. I can't understand it. Everybody loves them. They beat nobody. Illinois, best win, Illinois, and lost to everybody with real talent. And they just love them. Keep them up there. I don't understand it. I don't get it. So what does Notre Dame got to do to get the 5? Is 12-0 even enough? I don't know. But they've clearly set that precedent that they're not going to penalize you for losing that game. So apparently it's just a bonus, all upside, no downside. You could get the bye, and even if you lose Dudner, it's literally all upside then. So, listen. Notre Dame ends up landing Indiana. So let's bring this up. Okay, so Notre Dame lands Indiana because they landed behind Texas and Penn State, even though they lost on conference championship day, right? Okay, so you could argue that Notre Dame has one of the easier first round games when you're just looking at talent and how good I think these teams are. But then they have the hardest game if they advance to the quarterfinals. Do you follow me? I could argue it's one of the more advantageous first-round matchups. But it's just a really hard second-round matchup with the talent and the coaching staff of Georgia that's been in these big postseason game moments and knows how to do it and everything, right? So is that one way to look at it? Or are you going to argue, I'm not scared of Clemson? There's Dabo every once in a while could turn on some of that big game juice still. He did it to us last year when they were down and out. There's still some of that in the Clemson program. Some people maybe don't fear that at all. Tennessee, Ohio State is a talent-on-talent matchup. SMU and Penn State, I don't know. But I'm not scared of Indiana skill talent the way I would be in Ohio State, right? Or a Texas even. So I don't know. You could argue that it's maybe one of the more favorable round one matchups, but then you're running into the Georgia recruiting machine if you advance to the next round instead of playing Arizona State or Boise State or an Oregon team that can't stop a nosebleed in the run game. They can't stop anything defensively. Now, I know Georgia has problems too. They lost their quarterback. They played up and down. Like, you could say that maybe they lost their quarterback. I don't know what's going to happen with that. Like, they haven't played all that great this year, whatever. I know the talent they have on the roster and the coaching staff's been there before. Right? So, I don't know. Being down at the 7, I guess it's just the conference games you found out are all upside and there's no downside at all. But Penn State's beat nobody all year and they just keep riding it. And I don't understand how or why. And so here's the problem with the Indiana situation. Notre Dame has no weather or travel advantage whatsoever. And now I'm wondering about how many Indiana people are going to get tickets now that it's just a drive away. Like, a part of me feels like, is this the committee sticking it to Notre Dame being like, oh God, we got to give them a home game, but how about this? So you have no weather advantage. You have no travel advantage. And I'm just wondering how many tickets end up in Indiana people's hands now. It's so convenient. They don't even have to spend for a hotel. So, yeah, you get the home game and there's going to be more Notre Dame people there, but it is not a juicy matchup and you have none of that warm weather stuff. And the travel couldn't be easier for Indiana compared to all these other teams. So, it's just kind of a wasted opportunity with that. It's a wasted opportunity with that. So that is frustrating. It's frustrating. You know, Notre Dame leads series 23-5-1. Last meeting 91. First game of the NBC partnership with Notre Dame, by the way. All those people in my morning chat that were talking about wanting an Alabama type roster round one to prove yourself or whatever. Well, if you're able to beat Indiana, you're about to get that situation with Georgia. Top 3 recruiting team every year, year in and year out. 4 or 5-star depth on 4 or 5-star depth everywhere. I realize they have lost games this year. Kirby knows how to prep for the big ones, and they just have a top 3 roster, and there's no debating it. What does that quarterback injury do? I've already mentioned that. You want to prove yourself. Notre Dame people that were talking tough in my morning show, whatever, if you beat Indiana, you get Georgia. You get to prove it against that roster, and nobody going to be picking you. Nobody going to be picking you. But you got to worry about beating Indiana first. By the way, at least they did end up keeping Alabama out. So if you want to give the committee, you know, you found out that it's going to be tough for Notre Dame to jump those teams that lose conference championships. But on the plus side, at least they did keep multiple loss Alabama out. So you could give them credit for that. So it's just, listen, you're going to get a chance to prove yourself. All those people that wanted that. And listen, I know Georgia has looked vulnerable at times this year. Everybody has, whatever. But you're going to be... It's going to get really, really interesting. So I don't know. I'm a little frustrated because you got nothing out of the home game advantage you wanted. You didn't get a warm weather team and you didn't get any travel and it's easy. I'm sorry. That is frustrating to me that you have this home game and it's just a team from right down the road that's perfectly comfortable with the weather. I hate it. I hate it. So, but talent-wise, I would rather play them than Ohio State or Tennessee or Texas or maybe even Clemson. So, I don't know. It's a little frustrating. You're not getting any weather advantage, no travel advantage. And I really am wondering how many of these people in red are going to end up with these tickets now. No scrambling to get a hotel. They just drive home. I hate it. That's a bad draw for a team that gets to host a home game. Here's the other thing. You better beat Indiana. That's the other thing, man. Indiana, Bobby Knight, known as a basketball school, living in Notre Dame's shadow of football, probably sick of it the way Purdue is, and all this stuff. So you better beat them then. You better beat them then. And so here you go again, where you want to talk about motivation. The motivation is right here. I mean, it's we're sick of Notre Dame being the only brand that's considered to be football in Indiana. We're proving we're the kings of Indiana. Like, it's the easiest pitch in the world to get those guys to play, right? So that's the Indiana narrative, is screw Notre Dame. I'm sick of them being talked about as football school in this state. We're going to go get them in a way Purdue can't. That needs to be their message. So I don't know. You're getting no advantage out of that cold weather, any of that stuff. So now it may as well be warm and comfortable for everybody going now, because there's no advantage. So why make fans miserable? You're not getting any advantage. So I don't know. I think it's talent-wise a pretty good matchup for Notre Dame. But buddy, you're going to have to prove it if you win that one, because you're getting a top 3 roster. And I don't care if they're playing good or not. It's a top 3 roster with this staff that knows how to win big games and prepare for the postseason. Been there, done that. You can argue there's almost nobody better now that Saban's gone at doing it. That's the real deal. So you're going to be on that big stage. Everybody's going to root against you. It'll be your next chance to prove it against a SEC roster. But you got to get there. So you got to beat Indiana. The problem is this doesn't have juice. It is frustrating that you're getting no weather and travel advantage. It's Indiana. It does not have the juice some other matchups would. This is all building very interestingly. Couple things about the conference championship games. Number one, good for Army. They won the American. Their one loss is Notre Dame. Like, I guess that's good. What it didn't help us jump Penn State, who beat Illinois, and that's their big claim to fame. Iowa State, Arizona State. Oh, man. What's that? Oh, yeah, it's John. I fell asleep. You know why I fell asleep? Matt Campbell and his personality. When he's involved, I fall asleep. Snooze fest. Snooze fest, wake me up. Matt Campbell's here. Remember when that dude was the talk of the town? He was going to be the next big coach. He was on the radar. Dude, wake me up. No. Clemson, SMU. Dabo keeps being given lives, and it's frustrating to me. Do you see the recruiting class? Lost a bunch of guys, drop way down, substandard class for them. Problems there. Doesn't want to go to the portal. He keeps being given free lives. We gave him one last year when they were down, looking to be out. He was arguing with the fans on radio shows. They were playing terrible football, and we breathed life right back into him. We did that. I'm mad at us for doing that. This year he has Georgia, South Carolina losses, a loss to Louisville. Miami poops himself, and here Clemson is backtracking themselves into an automatic bye seed. Come on, man. Don't we need to adjust that to where a 3-loss team can't get a bye just because they win a conference that's not good? You got to readjust that. Is that not the big takeaway about all this that's a problem? Is that some of the teams getting byes are not the best teams in the country like they figured they would be. Must be nice to have a long-distance kicker, right? It's one thing I learned from that Clemson game. So I don't know. Georgia, Texas, what do you make of it? Texas has 2 losses to these guys. I don't know what you make of it. Bad matchup. Oregon, Penn State. Wow. The next game Penn State wins against a good team will be the first game Penn State wins against a good team. It's BK all over again. Win everything against teams you have more talent than and lose everything else. 0-5 against Michigan. Add this on top. They just don't win big games, man. Unless, of course, you count Illinois, because that's the highlight on the schedule. It's really frustrating. They will not beat anybody with real talent. Sorry. Oregon's defense is so infuriating, man. Just stop anybody. You're like allergic to stopping the run. Can you stop anybody? I don't understand. It's almost like they just run the other way when the guy's coming with the ball. They just can't play defense. It's so frustrating for as fun as that offense is. So I don't know, man. It's really interesting. Yeah, listen, for these conference championship games, no Michigan, no Ohio State, no Alabama was kind of nice. I will say that. That was very nice. So I don't know. I want to know what you guys think of this situation. It's just, It's not exactly what peak what you were probably open for a Notre Dame fan. You're not getting any advantage off that home game at all. It hurts you, actually. You're going to have more Indiana people than you would any other team because it's just too convenient. I hate it. Physically, it should be a good matchup for Notre Dame. But that Georgia next round, you're going to get it. All those people in my chat that wanted a piece of the SEC and don't think they're that good and wanted them in an early round, you're going to get that. If you beat Indiana, and you better. You're going to get, you can't lose the crown of football in Indiana to Indiana after. You just can't. That's a bad look, Tandy. You can't do it. That's going to be my next thing is like, you can't do it. You have a reputation to uphold for Notre Dame. You cannot be giving that crown up to Indiana of being the best football team. That's embarrassing. You can't do it. That's a different layer to this, that it's an in-state thing. That's embarrassing. You can't do it. So you got to win. And then nobody will pick you to beat Georgia. So then you roll it all out there and you go for it all, man. They're beatable. They're beatable. This is not like a top end, humming at all cylinders Georgia team. I'm not saying it is. But you know that does not mean that it's not a 4- and 5-star laden team with a great staff led by a guy that's seen and done it all and ain't going to hesitate in any moment. Right? So I don't know. I want to know what you guys think. I still haven't seen what day or time the game is or whatever. So will somebody let me know about that? But what do you guys think about this and Notre Dame seeding? What lessons did you learn? Let me know. Don't forget to check out the merchandise. The link is in the description. You can browse and carouse all the different Always Irish gear. Make sure you head over there and get something for the next tailgate. Thanks for being here.